Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. Welcome back to the show today. We are so excited to have our guest here joining us, or guests, I should say. We have a very special guest as well from GOGO Design Group. Let's start with Rebecca Pogonitz. She's the owner and principal designer, and I'm excited to have her back today to share more about the work she does, including talking a little bit about lighting. So how are you, Rebecca?
I'm awesome. It's Friday.
Yay!
Yay.
I know it's a good thing. Tell us about your company and what you do at GOGO Design Group.
Yeah, so we specialize in residential interior design that nourishes the souls of the people who dwell in their homes. And we work all over. And I am so happy to have Javesh here today. I'm just jumping right to Javesh.
No, hi, Javesh Tor. How are
He has
you?
I'm
such
doing
a
well,
great
thanks, ladies. How about
story, and
yourselves?
I hope you never get tired of telling your story, Javesh, whenever I introduce you to a new client. So
Oh, I can't wait to hear.
yeah.
So hold on, Javesh Tor, you're the owner and designer at Gotcha Covered of the North Shore, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
And your website, how do we find you?
You can find us at gotchacoverednorthshore.com. So that's GOTCHA covered northshore.com.
Perfect. And gogodesignGroup.com for Rebecca. So you already jumped the gun on this one. You have to tell us how you met. Go ahead.
Oh, you go
Please.
for it, Javesh.
Oh, okay. Well, actually, it was just a connection through networking. I believe, just through my networking journey, I met some people and I mentioned that I was looking to connect with interior designers. And Rebecca's name came up, and they were like, "Yeah, you absolutely need to meet Rebecca. She's this fantastic lady, and I think you guys get along like a house on fire." Little did they know they were absolutely correct. We really did, and it's
See, that's
always
why I
been
love you, Javesh.
So yeah, one thing led to another. We met online. We tried Rebecca was very kind enough to give us an opportunity to try us out for one of her projects. I guess it worked out well because we've been working together since.
Beautiful. And by the way, where are you based out of?
So I'm based out of Chicago. I service the greater Chicago area, but most of the projects that we tend to focus on is in the North Shore of Chicago.
Perfect. Well, I'm on the website now. I urge everyone to do the same. Gotchacovered.com. So custom window treatments of the Chicago North Shore. Beautiful
Mhm.
work here. And as well as don't forget, go to gogodesignGroup.com and we'll talk more about your portfolio, of course, Rebecca, and what you do. So this is great. The two of you collaborating and working together. And I know for today, you want to kind of talk a little bit about lighting, right? So let's get started.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's three things you have to remember when it comes to creating a harmonious space. Lighting plays almost the most important role. It highlights your fabrics, it creates a mood. There's three kinds of lighting: task, ambient, and accent. I actually have a video explaining all of this in detail if all of you want to go onto my website. Um, and Another thing, though, that plays a very important role are window treatments, because when we don't have natural light in our homes, we have to create that feeling, which is actually 2,700, actually it's 3,000 K Kelvin. That's actually the temperature of natural daylight.
Okay.
But when you have the opportunity to bring natural daylight into your home, it needs to be controlled in different ways. For instance, if you're if you're in your TV room and you have this mega sized TV, the natural light is going to cause a glare. So we have to figure out what would be the most aesthetically pleasing way to do that. Another thing that window treatments can affect lighting is some people want semi-privacy. Sorry about the beeping in the background and the unprofessional background here, but some people want to have light coming in, but want to have partial privacy. Some people need total privacy. So all of this affects what's happening in the lighting in your room.
Okay, do you
want
want
to
to share
explain
some
them?
of the
Yeah,
pictures that I have here
sure.
on the screen? So this one just popped up first. So you were saying natural light here. You could see that glare on the TV, right? So how would you
Right.
handle this type of situation? Because you have such a beautiful view, you don't want to block it, but you need some type of shading. So what did you do here?
Right. Well, actually, there are shades there and they're
Oh,
automated.
I see
And
in the very left. Okay.
But also like on the right side, looking at the lake, they're all rolling up into a cassette. So they're concealed. But
Up on
when
top. So these shades are rolling up.
they roll up and then you click a remote. And when you want to watch TV and reduce the glare, you just lower them. And these shades are
Beautiful.
only light filtering. Privacy is not an issue. So
Beautiful.
I wanted to show this picture because it shows you that you can have window treatments and take advantage of the natural daylight, but they serve the function of light filtering too.
Now, Javesh, is this one of the projects you did with her?
Uh,
Or
no, this isn't, but this is a very common type of solution that we'll find. So this looks to be what we call in the industry a solar shade, very likely. And the beauty of that is this still maintains view through, so you can still look outside and see what's going on out there and still get that beautiful view, but you're reducing the glare and the UV that's coming into the room. So that will help once they're down, block some of the light coming in, reduce the glare, and more importantly, preserve your furniture and the flooring from really harsh UV rays, especially with large floor ceiling windows.
so what type of SPF? I mean, is that curtain or treatment, I should say, is it like
Mhm.
50? Is it 100? Or is there all different
So
types that you can order, thicker filters or?
So when you were talking about solar shades, you're talking about an openness factor.
Hmm.
There is a certain weave to the fabric, and so it goes in gradations such as 1, 3, 4, 5%, and that talks about how much of the UV it allows to penetrate. So 1% will be the most UV blocking with the least amount of view through, and you go all the way up to 15%, which allows a lot of light to come in. It's a very light treatment with a lot of view through. So I think the most commonly used number in the industry is between 3 and 5%, depending on the application.
All right. Thank you for sharing. Rebecca, did you want me to pan over here and check out one of the other pictures?
Sure, thank you.
You're welcome. Hold on because I'm not sure how it's going to work. There's the next one. Perfect. What is
Okay,
this?
so this is another example of privacy and creating a mood. And so here, the window treatments are used for privacy when they do want more daylight and to get flooded with more warmth, we just open them. And this is just a simple example too of placing a table lamp, right? That's the indirect lighting. And that creates, it also could be accent lighting. And there will be more pictures that will illustrate the three lightings working together. But I just wanted to okay, so this is another window treatment. We have the ambient lighting with the chandelier above.
Mm-hmm.
Then this window treatment is a drapery, but the natural woven shade is doing all the work in terms of when you drop it, it brings in daylight and half privacy where you can just see shadows. But actually, this is, you know where the space is? This is the Playboy Mansion.
Really?
This used to be Hugh Hefner's party pad.
Wow. Fancy.
And yeah, so I just thought that was a fun piece of trivia. But yeah, so this was just to demonstrate, and Javesh and I do this a lot together, where we'll do a stationary panel to soften the window, to soften the space, but then the shade is doing all the work.
All right,
Yeah,
Javesh, what are your thoughts on this?
no, this is a great use of window treatments as a functional item as well as a decorative item. So you have the natural shade that's there that allows you to bring in a different type of texture into the room, color and texture. So that will diffuse the light as it comes in. This looks like it's probably unlined, so you still have your view through when it's down, but it really softens the light. And on the side, you've got this drapery accent piece with the medallions up top. That's just another way to bring in a different fabric, a different feel, a different color. And ultimately, these different textures and weights and materials provide the variety in the room that that brings the character of the space together.
Beautiful. And Rebecca, is there any more slides here for me to show, or is it just these
I
three?
believe so. I think there's Maybe
Plus
not.
two. Let me see. There we go. Okay, so we're
Oh,
looking at
yes.
which one would you like me to click on first? The one with the fireplace or that looks like the
Yes,
bedroom
please.
vanity? Okay, here we go. Ooh.
Okay, so here we have ambient lighting with the floor lamp, right? Because they didn't have any overhead light there. And then you can see the can by the fireplace, which is accent lighting, which is washing the fireplace, creating another effect. And then, of course, we can control the light coming in with these very interesting, these are the Hunter Douglas Allure, Javesh. So do you want to speak to that?
So this is what's known in the industry as either a banded shade or a zebra shade. So they're horizontal lines of opaque and sheer fabrics. So what it gives you is this opportunity to let in more or less light according to what you need. It's a really nice product, lots of different textures and colors, and it's sort of like a modern minimalist type look. Uh, but it brings a lot of characters to the space. And I just like the way that you can play with the amount of privacy and the amount of light that you let in with a treatment like this.
Hmm?
Beautiful. And I thought I could slide them, but I can't. So we'll just go back this way and oh, take a look at this
Yes,
one.
the last one is a bathroom that I did. It's actually the same house, the same lake house, and I just wanted to show you, and Javesh can speak to this. These are silhouettes, and this project was from a few years ago. I've been working a lot with pirouettes with Javesh, but this was to soften the wall, create an ethereal oasis effect, but also with silhouettes, you can control the amount of privacy and light and view. And this bathroom actually overlooks the lake. So, but there are boaters out there and swimmers out
Yeah.
there. So you need some privacy. So that's why we selected silhouettes.
Beautiful. Wow. All right. Javesh, what else did you want to touch upon here? Because these are all the things that you're working in collaboration together on. Do you want to share about some of your work, the importance of, what you're doing in homes and how people decide on what they need in the house?
Yeah, no,
Because that's tricky.
it
Yes.
is it is a important factor, whether we realize it or not. The window treatments that we use are things we interact with every single day. It's sort of like paint on your walls. You don't
Yeah.
notice that it's there, but you interact with it every single day. Um, So for projects like this, we always come up with a few important factors when it comes to lighting, right? So the first thing that we would talk about for window treatments is lighting itself. How much light do you need? How much light control do you need?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the second thing that we look at is insulation a factor, not just from temperature, but also from sound. So that's why draperies, if you buy, a motorway or a busy
Ah,
road, we use a heavier material in order to deaden the sound. Then the third would be privacy itself. How important is that to you? And then the last two factors, I think this is where it starts getting a little bit more personal, is individual sense of style. Our aim is, to bring the client's vision together with our professional guidance. And then one that is becoming increasingly important today is safety as well. So we try to include all those different factors into finding the right solution for each project.
beautiful. And I also have to ask a little bit about your background. I was reading about you. So you're from Singapore originally?
That's right. Yeah, I'm from Singapore. I grew up in the UK,
And
moved
tell
here
me
to the
about this,
States.
your clothing brand. Hello. How did
There
you
you
go?
go.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, I guess
And
I
then how
couldn't
you
escape it.
got you covered. So yeah, you're dressing not only homes, but men and yourself, I'm sure. Tell me
That's
about
right.
this. This is exciting.
So I had my own clothing brand for about 10 years. It was a wonderful brand, and we did a lot of custom menswear. We expanded into ready-to-wear collections and a full range of lifestyle products for men. We had a store in the 900 Shops on Michigan Avenue for a really long time. And then eventually we moved on to Oak Street, which is sort of like the Rodeo Drive of Chicago, if you will. It was a wonderful experience, but unfortunately, COVID did a real number on the business. And so, having a long-term lease that we couldn't get out of. We ultimately ended up closing the business, and so I had to pivot to find something that I would enjoy doing that would allow me to use my creative and design perspective at the same time as working consultatively with clients. And an opportunity arose for window treatments. It's not something I'd done before, but it was something so similar. So I joked that instead of dressing bodies, now I'm dressing windows.
I love
And
it.
um,
Beautiful background.
and it's through the dressing of windows I have started dressing bodies once again because clients love what I do and have asked me to work with them on clothing either for their spouse or themselves. So it's been a win-win. Love it.
Awesome. Good to hear that. And let me just ask, in this business of window treatments, blinds, shades, shutters,
Mhm.
draperies, curtains, is there a lot of like electronics now? Do people like the one touch of like a remote control to lift them or move them? Is that kind of the trend?
It very much
Are we
is.
doing Wi-Fi apps on our phones now to open our shades and blinds? I'm not aware. I'm just curious.
No, absolutely. So the analogy that we use in the industry is, back in the day when you had your car window and you had to wind it up and down, and then
Yes.
it moved to you hit a button and it auto opens and closes. That's sort of the way that window treatments are going in today's world. And motorization in the industry has changed so much in the last 10 years. Um, we've got really smart motors, really efficient motors. You can do really big treatments. The trick is if you are building a new project, keep this in mind from the early stage because you want to make sure that you are running the wires to those windows to make sure they're power ready. That adds value to the home
Ah,
down the line,
that's a
right?
great tip to our listeners here
Um,
today. Yes, including
and
myself.
and the next thing is if let's say you have a home or a project that doesn't have power ready windows, there are battery operated solutions as well. Um, some of them quite advanced. We work with Somfy Motors, a company called Hunter Douglas, and another one called Lutron. Lutron does amazing motorized window treatments, and those are great for windows that don't have power. We can just go ahead and put them in. And same thing, press of a button, everything works, raises and lowers at the same time. And as you mentioned, as tech moves along, now people want to be able to control it from afar.
Yeah.
Um, I just love how advanced these things have got to the point where I'll give you an example. Lutron's got this program. Let's say you have slat blinds throughout your home. It will know the location of the home, which direction it faces, and depending on the position of the sun, it will automatically tilt the vanes of the actual blinds
Wow.
to maximize the light and minimize the glare. So that's smart.
Wow, that is
Mhm.
fancy.
Yeah.
Now, now, Rebecca, you as the interior
Mhm.
designer who's working with
Mhm.
the whole home, whether it's a renovation, a room, a whole
Mhm.
house,
Mhm.
where does window treatments come into play? So, is that part of, is it always in the beginning, the planning process? What stage do you address the window treatments with your clients if they're doing a
Mhm.
full room reno?
Mhm. Yeah, we address it right from the time I first meet the client, and we're talking about budget because that's really big. We have to make sure we budget in for window treatments. And when we're at the beginning, as Javesh said, when we're at the beginning of a project, do they need to be hard? Does there need to be hard wiring, or is it going to be battery operated? Because that's just happening more and more, especially with these large, expansive I'm doing a project now where we have these ginormous gabled windows that start at 8 feet uh, above the floor. So there's just a lot to consider at the very beginning of the project. And I always encourage my clients to consider and budget in their window treatments. And we do make a lot of times I was working with Javesh yesterday and I was selecting wallpaper at the same time as we were selecting the window treatments. That was a smaller project, but a lot of times the window, in terms of the selection, we get all the other major pieces selected and the color palette associated, and then we make sure that the window treatments coordinate. It depends on the size of the project.
Got it. All right. Well, thank
Mhm.
you so much. I mean, we still have more time together. So, what else did
Mhm.
you all want to discuss for today?
Yeah, I think, going back to this
Mhm.
three types of lighting, why the window treatments are taking such a focus in this discussion is because the sun is the number one source of light, natural light that we can get. And as utilities increase in price with time, it's really important for us to bring as much of that natural light into the space that we can in the way that we want to. And so ambient light, whether it's accent light, that can be done to a degree with window treatments without having to get into electronics and having to use artificial lighting indoors.
Mhm, mhm,
Mhm.
So
yeah.
like right now, are you using natural lighting, Rebecca?
Can you tell?
It looks good. No, it looks
Oh my
good.
God.
I'm not. I have a little lamp here, so it's a little
I think I
shiny.
have,
You got
I'm
the best
using,
light. I think natural light works best.
I don't know, and Javesh is looking real good too. And now that I'm getting into this podcast world, I think I need to invest in some better equipment.
Yeah, you
I
can
don't
make it
know, I
brighter.
forgot to.
Look, see, here's my lighting. Brighter. Lower.
And
But it's
yeah,
important. There's certain lights, and if you do it right, you can like fill it from this way, this, that, and then it hides all the wrinkles. Like on, the desk at a TV
right.
station, it's like let's up light here, get rid of the jowls. Get it's
Thank
lighting
you.
is amazing. It could make people look
Yeah.
so much better, and your
Oh, yes.
space,
And then
obviously.
diving deeper from that, it creates an overall sense of tranquility and harmony, right? When, I get contacted by people and they say, this lighting is terrible. It makes me feel anxious, and it really is about balancing the lighting
Yep.
and just sort of to come full circle. There's just so many variables to balancing that lighting. And yes, of course, we want to look great. And when we're entertaining and throwing a party or kind of like a moody cocktail party or whatever, the lights are a little bit dimmer and we all want to, show off our best. But also it's, geez, I want to see what I'm cooking and I don't want to cut myself, or there's just so many variables that has to be considered throughout the entire process of a project. So lighting is it. It's not only, I call it the jewelry of your home, especially when someone's like, I don't know
Mm-hmm.
if I want to spend that much. And I'm like, come
You're
on, come on.
like, uh-huh.
Not that I'm that pushy, but it's not only the jewelry of the home, and it not only makes us look better, but also when we feel better, we look better, right? Because our light is coming from within. But it's just all encompassing and a very important thing to consider while planning your project.
Beautiful. All
So
right. All right. All right. And Javesh, any other insight to lighting and drapery and to window treatments and the importance of them? I mean, because when you go into a home, it's got to be so difficult because I'd feel like, oh my gosh, so Judge, if Rebecca and Javesh walks into my home, I'd be like, oh my, because I have a 7 and 9 year old, right? My house is like a disaster. I don't have a dining room, it's a playroom. And I have like makeshift, like the heavy stock curtains that are hung, but not the right way. I would feel like so embarrassed. But eventually, when I want to redo the house and get these big, beautiful windows, and I'm like, well, why would I get beautiful windows if I'm going to cover them? But then the sunlight is an issue. So now knowing that there's so many different options to rolling them away, tucking them
yes.
away, that's just a great idea. I love it.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you mentioned feeling embarrassed, and because I encounter that a lot when
Right?
I
Because
walk into
people,
some, but it's like, don't be embarrassed. You should see my place. My gosh, I'm like this against the wall. I got to figure out my Zoom,
yeah, yeah,
and it's just this is the kind of safe place that Javesh and I try to create. I try to create that. Oh, come on, we're all human beings, right? We're here to like
Absolutely.
transform your life
Not
here.
everyone's functional home is going to be a page out of a magazine.
yeah.
You're going to live in it, you're going to use it, and the elements that we include into the design are things that should be functional and hold up to the daily use.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I just find it a privilege to go into people's homes and do that. So I immediately, and when people say that to me, a lot of people, and I'm just
You're
so
like,
happy to hear. And I really go based off energy too. And for instance, we're in a home yesterday evening, and it just felt good, because of the energy in the home, and it doesn't matter that it was messy and everything. So that's one message I really would like to get out there to my people, and that is part of my messaging, is that judgment-free zone here, people.
love that.
And don't be embarrassed. We all have things. Gosh, there's so much shaming in this world. Let's not shame ourselves. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So
Absolutely.
that's where I stand. It's kind of a soapbox for me.
Got it. Got it. Now, Javesh, are you also working in the commercial space as well as retail and residential? Just what is your niche, or is it all the above?
Yeah, so we do a little bit of everything. Our major focus is on residential. We do some light commercial and some retail as well. But we basically take opportunities as it arises to us. You know, we're always looking to work with people looking for more of a design element to their projects, but utilitarian ones work just as well.
And that's why you recommend our interior designer of the decade, right, Rebecca? So,
Absolutely.
oh, you guys are great together, great collaborating, and I would love to talk to you again and see more of your work. Unfortunately, we're out of time. So let me start off with Javesh. Would you mind sharing your website, contact phone number, how we can reach you?
Absolutely. So the website is gotchacoverednorthshore.com. So that's GOTCHA coverednorthshore.com. And you can reach us by phone at 847-303-8888.
Perfect. And Rebecca?
Yeah, so GOGO Design Group, you can reach me at 847-337-0526. Rebecca at gogodesigngroup.com, and check out my new website, www.gogodesigngroup.com.
Awesome. And if we're also in the need of fashion, Javesh, we reach out. Looks like you and I today got the square type of
Yeah, we've got a
memo,
little,
right?
segment.
If we need clothing design, reach out. See, we're on the same wavelength. All right. And we're on the same color scheme, Rebecca. So we did well.
Oh my
I think we all
gosh.
did well today. Really. Pleasure having you here. Happy
Okay.
Easter for those celebrating. Enjoy your weekend and happy Friday and best of luck. Looking forward to speaking again.
Okay, thanks so much,
Thanks a
Jill.
lot.
Thank you both. Have a fantastic day. Thanks again. Don't go anywhere,
Bye.
everyone. We'll be right back after the break.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.